Hello everyone, thank you for joining us wherever you are. I'm Gulo from Jadi PNS will be your host. Now we are with Dawda Cham. He is a climate activist from the Gambia. Hello Dawda, how are you?
Hello, Gulo. I'm fine, and you?
I'm doing good, thank you. Thank you Dawda so much for joining us, and we are really excited to have you here.
Thank you too for having me on this platform. I'm really grateful and honored to be invited here to share my experience with your audience.
You're most very welcome. Dawda, could you please give us a little bit of background on yourself?
Yes, thank you again. I am Dawda Cham from the Gambia. I hold a BSc in biology from the University of the Gambia, and I'm a Gambian environment and climate change activist and the Deputy Executive Director of Household Disaster Resilience Project, abbreviated as HELP-Gambia. We do a lot of work around environment and climate change and humanitarian works here in the Gambia. Also, I am involved in the global climate change space. I work with YOUNGO. I am part of their adaptation and NDCs working groups. I've also contributed to the authoring of the Global Youth Statement of COI 17, which was presented at COP27 in England or UK. I'm also UNICEF, the Gambia Young Voice from the Sahel, where I participate in national and international events to share the perspective of young people on how we can make our communities and our ecosystems resilient. Yes, so there's a lot more, but basically this is who I am, yeah.
Thanks, Dawda. You just mentioned about climate change. So I'm wondering when and where were you when you first realized you wanted to fight for climate change in the Gambia?
I think this will be sometime around 2012. And I think at that time I was in grade 8. I was going to upper basic school. And I was actually selected from my school to attend an environmental sustainability and sanitation workshop, which was organized by the National Environment Agency of the Gambia. And this is where I first heard about climate change and how it is a threat to the lives and livelihoods of this planet Earth that we live in. And from there on, you know, I started to build interest in climate change activities, and I was actually involved in it, even though at a lower scale compared to today. Yeah.
All right, that's interesting. And then what did you do after you find it's interesting? You want to learn more and fight for the climate change?
Yes, so I started to do research about it because then I was actually able to have access to internet. Even though I did not have my own computer or my own phone, I used to go to the internet, you know, I would search about climate change, environmental issues, but I also was able to lead some activities like cleanup exercises. That was all I could do at the time, but also talk to my colleagues, my friends, and so on. So from there, because this was in my hometown in the Lower River region of the Gambia, I then came to the urban area here and to actually further my education in the senior secondary school. So while I was going to high school, I actually joined a group called the Balance Crew in the Gambia here. And this organization was involved in so many things: education, talent of young people, harnessing the talents of young people, but as well as we had some environmental initiatives. So I was more effective in that because for some reason, that's why I found my niche. So because like I said, I attended that program and I was inspired and I was actually motivated to do more research on climate change and environment. So when I came to Balance, I was very active. Mostly if we're doing environmental cleanups and so on, I would be one leading the exercise, taking care of materials and so on. And from there, that was between 2014 to 2018. I then joined HELP-Gambia as a volunteer, which is the current organization that I serve as a deputy executive director in. I joined HELP-Gambia between 2018 and 2019 as a volunteer. And after 1 year, I was actually recognized as the most active volunteer of the organization. That was because of my involvement in activities and taking up some tasks that are not even designated for me. I would volunteer to write concepts, volunteer to take minutes during meetings. So I was actually elevated to the position of the national project coordinator, and I served in this position for 2 years, where I did a lot of activities, a lot of projects. Probably we will talk about those things as we go on with this interview. So, and that's how I climbed. After 2 years, I was actually elevated again to the position of the deputy executive director. So that is a position I hold up to date.
Oh,
Yeah.
amazing. And then amazing. And then when we're talking about the climate change, what climate change issues are experienced in the Gambia?
So in the Gambia, we have a lot of issues that we are faced with. And I think one of the things is sea level rise. Because if you look at the Gambia is a low-lying country. So, and research has actually shown that a 1 meter rise in sea level in the Gambia would potentially inundate 8% of the country's land area, which will be a very big destruction to us. It will destroy our agricultural sector, tourism, forestry, wildlife, and so on. So that is really a concern for us. And that is why, as environmental activists, we are always advocating for restoration. We are always advocating for people to be very, very mindful of how they deal with our environment, especially those that will use the beaches, throw everything in there, and then that ends up in the seas and so on. But also another problem we are faced with here in the Gambia is deforestation and illegal timber trading. We have companies that are here cutting down trees and then transporting them to the outside world. This is actually also affecting our forests, and it's a very big challenge for us. But also flooding. And like for instance, this last year in July 2022, we experienced one of our heaviest rainfalls in 34 years, which caused widespread flooding in the Greater Banjul area. And it's, I think, indirectly affected 40,000 families or households. So that is really actually a challenge. And we are almost getting into the rainy season. And until today, since last year, the government doesn't seem to do anything about that. And we are really afraid that this year, a repetition of that would not occur. So, but also lack of awareness about environment and climate change issues. And that is where my organization is doing a lot of work to create awareness among communities, among the youth, so that they could be able to take action against climate change. Yeah.
Right. Thank you. Wow, that's a lot of climate change issue that I have been experiencing in the Gambia. And now you're working in Help Gambia. What is it?
So Help Gambia, like I previously said, is a household disaster resilience project, the Gambia. So it is an organization that was established in 2017 by a Gambian son called, with his colleagues called Dr. Famara K. Damfa, sorry. He now works in the United States with the World Bank and the University of Minnesota. He is the one who founded the university, the organization with some of his colleagues. And what Help Gambia does is to actually complement the efforts of the Gambia government in terms of making our communities and our households resilient to climate change and other extreme weather events. So we do a lot of activities ranging from raising awareness, restoration projects, disaster management, and the list goes on. Yeah.
Yeah. Thank you. And then what are you doing at Help Gambia?
So as the deputy executive director, I have a lot of things that I do in Help Gambia, and this ranges from mobilizing people, because I have this experience of community mobilization, and also I do conceptualize projects, and also write project proposals and so on. But also I serve as an inspiration to others that I work with, inspire them, share the little knowledge that I have in terms of making our communities resilient. But also I help in arranging partnership or facilitating partnerships with the the public sector and as well as the private sector in terms of how we can synergize our ideas, our resources to be able to make our communities resilient to climate change. So that is mainly my role in HELP-Gambia. Yeah.
As Deputy Executive Director at HELP-Gambia, how do you the programs and mobilize the community?
So, like I said, I have this experience of mobilizing people, and since I joined HELP-Gambia, I've tried to increase the membership or improve the membership of the organization, and now we have over 2,000 people nationally because we have our volunteers across the 6 regions of the Gambia, and we have national coordinators or regional coordinators for all of these 6 regions who help to coordinate our volunteers in those regions. So whenever we have activities, we try as much as possible to decentralize our activities. For instance, we launched one of the biggest waste management campaigns in the country called the Trust-Free Gambia Project, which was launched sometime in 2021. And what this project seeks to achieve is to actually combat indiscriminate littering, but as well as to create awareness among the population so that we can be very much responsive to our environment. And we were able to launch this project in 4 different regions of the Gambia, namely Kanifing municipality, the West Coast. We were in URL as well as in North Bank region. And I think this was one of our biggest successes as an organization because it was all over the country. And we were able to mobilize from 500 to 1,000 volunteers in each region to take part in this activity. And we were able to destroy undesignated dump sites, places where people just indiscriminately dump trash. We were able to clear those places. And a good example of that is in North Bank region. So yeah, this is what I do and with my team in HELP-Gambia.
That's amazing. And then what are the challenges, running the programs at HELP-Gambia?
Well, I mean, challenges, we have a lot of them, but we don't allow some of these challenges to stop the work that we do. And I think first one of the biggest challenges we have is in terms of finances. Most of the times we have to dip in our own pockets to be able to run some of our projects, but sometimes we even ask the volunteers to contribute. Yes, we have times where the government will come in and as well as the private sector. And a good example of that was in our Trust-Free Gambia project, where we had government agencies like the National Disaster Management Agency, the National Environment Agency coming to support, with their materials that we use to do our cleansing, but as well as buy some things like t-shirts for our volunteers and food and refreshment. So we really appreciate it. But a lot of the contribution came from the citizens and the natives of the communities where we did the exercise. And for example, in North Bank region, we had a group that actually came to, contribute amongst themselves. Their colleagues that are in town and those that are in abroad all contributed towards that project. So you can see that the commitment is actually there. We just need to reach out to people. Some of them probably, even if they cannot join, they are willing to put in their money. So finance has actually been a challenge, but like I said, that has never stopped us. But also another challenge is sometimes, even though we work cordially with the government and so on, it's sometimes difficult to be able to influence the policies that government have in place as young people who are trying to make our communities resilient. So those are some of the challenges. But yes, we have seen sometimes where the government will be responsive, but many a times you try to knock their doors, it's really difficult, and it's not easy. But also another thing that's a challenge is capacity for young people. A lot of young people are really interested in working on climate change issues and so on, but some of them are not really, they don't really get the experience that they need to be able to do some of these things. So we create that space where we try to share our little experiences with those people that we work with. For instance, we launched what we call the Climate Lecture Series, where we have our volunteers and as well as other people, school children, government officials come to actually learn about climate change and how they can take action against climate change. Yeah.
Amazing. Thanks for the great, you know, works that you guys have done personally and then
Yeah.
yeah, that's amazing. And then moreover, Dawda, you are actively involved in the international climate change related networks. How was the
Yeah.
story?
Well, actually, how I got to be involved in the international space or the international climate space is because I was always online checking opportunities, how I can be able to break through the international community. And there was this time I came across YOUNGO. I probably you would know about YOUNGO. This is the official children and youth constituency to the United Nations Framework Convention on Climate Change, UNFCCC. So when I came across YOUNGO, I was actually fascinated by the work that they do. I decided to join. So when I joined, this is what actually opened the doors for me. I was able to, involve myself in the activities of YOUNGO by joining their weekly or monthly sessions. And, there I was able to apply for opportunities where even if it is not something that YOUNGO initiated, they will share opportunities and people will apply. And that's how I started to involve myself. I started attending international events and so on. So from there, I had other people that, I will meet online. They will share opportunities with me and I will apply. Then I will have the chance to actually travel, to share the things that we do at home and actually seek for partnerships so that we can be able to work together. Yeah. So this is how I got to involve myself in the international space. And today, alhamdulillah, I hold positions in YOUNGO because we have this campaign called the Africa Youth Mobilization for COP. This is a YOUNGO campaign where I serve as the partnerships, fundraising and partnership contact point. That is a co-contact point. So that means a lot because that did not just happen in a day, but it's because of the 2 or 3 years of self-motivation and dedication to the work of YOUNGO that I was able to get that. So yeah, this is how I got myself involved in the international climate space.
Amazing. Thanks, Dawda. And then,
in fact, yes, I forgot one thing. I was also able to contribute to one of YOUNGO's most important documents, that is the annual Global Youth Statement.
wow.
Annually, every year, YOUNGO comes up with a Global Youth Statement that actually highlights or outlines the policy demands of young people, the demands that young people are asking or demanding our global leaders in terms of climate action. I have had the chance to contribute to that in 2021 during the COI 17 and COP 27. Yeah.
All right, that's amazing. And then let's see one of the conference that you attended in 2022, UN Climate Change Conference COP27 in Egypt. How was it?
Yes. COP27 was a great experience for me because this was the first time I attended a COP, and I was really fascinated by the way negotiations are done because I was able to attend negotiations, even though I could not have that chance to take part in negotiation. But I look forward to that opportunity sometime, and I hope it will be as soon as possible so that I can be able to share the perspectives of young people and how our demands can also be included at the decision-making tables. So the following negotiations was really an interesting part for me at COP27, but as well as meeting young people that I have not seen physically, or we've been exchanging emails, or we've been meeting online. I was able to see some of these people share our experiences and how we could actually partner. But also seeing the beautiful country of Egypt. This was a really nice experience for me. And I've also had the chance to speak at a UNICEF event. This
Wow.
was UNICEF Young Voices from the Sahel event. where different youth from different Sahelian countries, including Senegal, my country, of course, the Gambia, Senegal, Niger, you have Burkina Faso, you have Chad, Cameroon, and so on, to talk about how young people could be involved in policy making and implementation processes. So this was really a great opportunity for me to express how I feel, but also what the young people of this country are saying. Because prior to me going to Egypt, I hosted or led the implementation of the first ever local conference of youth on climate change in the Gambia. This has never happened in the Gambia. I was the first person to bring that to the country because I want to ensure that as many young people are actually given the chance to share their experiences, but also to exchange expertise in making our communities and our ecosystems resilient to climate change. So we launched the LCOR here, and then we came up with what we call a national youth statement, where young people from across the country came to share their inputs on how we can make the Gambia a climate resilient country. So this document was actually shared with the government of the Gambia through the Ministry of Environment, Climate Change and Natural Resources, and also shared with the YOUNGO and incorporated in the Global Youth Statement. So I was able to share some insights of that document during that conversation at COP 27.
Amazing story, Dawda. Amazing. That's amazing. And then we're back to the people around you. How do you tell
Yeah.
your community and youth around you to fight for climate change?
Yes, I think how I've been doing this is first I try to raise awareness, try to hold conversation with young people, and to tell them about climate change and the need to make our environment safe for everybody. And the other way is to lead by example. Whenever we have activities, I try as much as possible to be in front. Not I'm not that one who would want to sit behind because I feel like I'm the leader also, but I'm always in front. That serves as a motivation and inspiration for those that look up to you. So the other thing is to create a platform for them, create a platform for young people to be able to share their ideas, their perspectives about climate change issues and so on. And I've been doing this a lot because recently, or in 2022, we had our first ever local conference of the youth. This never happened, where we brought 150 young Gambians. That's a huge number. And these people are from the different parts of the country. Some came from as far as the last region, that is the Upper River region of the Gambia, to be a part of that discussion. So I think that's how I try to empower young people to take action against climate change, or inspire them to take action against climate change.
Inspiring, inspiring. And
Yeah.
then I'm wondering, what's your future goal as a climate activist and in your professional career?
Well, so I, as a climate change activist with a background in health, because I studied biology, and I also currently work as a scientific officer at a diagnostic center here in the Gambia. So I have that health background. I am actually committed to expanding my career in the field of climate change and health. Yeah, because I have a health background, and also I've been into climate change activism and environmental activism. So I want to further my career in studying the nexus between our environment and climate change, and particularly in the context of infectious diseases in my country and Africa by extension. So I think expanding my career in this would give me the chance to be able to contribute my quota in the fight against infectious diseases in my country, but as well as Africa. So also, I think this will also give me the chance to be able to engage myself in policy influencing, both at national and international levels, because I would need that self-improvement. I would need to gain more knowledge on my subject area in order to be able to talk to policymakers, to be able to influence the policies that they make. But also, I look forward to taking HELP-Gambia maybe 5 steps ahead of where it is now. I think it's an organization that has the potential to be able to actually address the needs and aspirations of young people of this country, but as well as the vulnerable communities, the women farmers who are out there in the rural areas and are struggling in their farms. So yeah, this is my goal for the future, and I hope everything goes through. And also for every young person out there.
Thank you for sharing. Last but not least, what will be your message for young people about climate change?
Just to tell the young people that the road would continue to be tough as it is. It is tough and it will continue to be tough. It's not going to be easy for us to win this fight, but let us just be true to ourselves. We need to continue to be true to ourselves and, continue fighting for our leaders to be able to take action against climate change. We know that a lot of things are going on. We find it difficult to get the necessary funding that we need or finances to be able to run our projects and programs. But let us just keep fighting, and let us not also always wait for opportunities to be given to us, because a lot of young people actually always try to complain that we are not given opportunities. But I think we should try to be creating opportunities for ourselves. We are very creative, and let us try to create our own ideas, try to fund our own activities. It's going to be difficult, but if we challenge each other to make a little contribution, we should be able to run our projects, and we should be able to make a greater impact with time. Yeah. So every young people out there, all those that are fighting for climate resilience, keep fighting. Someday you're gonna win the fight. Yeah.
This is such a pleasure. Thank you so much, Dawda Cham, for sharing your inspiring story.
Yes. Thank you so much for giving me the opportunity once again to be on this platform. I'm really honored and humbled for this opportunity, and I look forward to more engagements with you and your audience. Thank you.
Thanks, Dawda, and thank you everyone for joining us. Let's collaborate to make this world into a better place. I'm Gulo from Jadi PNS. Thank you and see you again.